Welcome to the Calvin M. McClung Historical Collection of the Knox County Public Library System.
The third floor of the History Center is where the McClung Historical Collection is housed. We have over 70,000 books, manuscripts, microfilm, all sorts of materials, and original photographs and original manuscripts. Whenever somebody wants to use those, we require them to use those in the rare book room, which is a special research spot where we keep an eye on the rare materials so they don't accidentally go out the door. And we also have Knoxville city directories that you can use the actual paper copies, and the older ones from 1859 to about 1900 are in the rare book room. Those are used a lot in genealogy. Not everything is digital today, and it may not be tomorrow or next year or 10 years. So we have a variety of different kinds of formats that we deal with. The floor is laid out in a Dewey Decimal Call Number system, and we start with the 900s, and basically that's history and all of its related areas, and those spread out through the main part of the building so that people can just browse open shelves. If you're doing research on American Revolution or Civil War, which is a huge amount of material on the Civil War, a lot of those materials can be found in books that people can take a look at. Some are rare and some are not so rare, but it's a really collection that's been built for research use. None of the material is checked out. It's a reference collection, and you use it here in the building, and we can scan or photograph materials for people, copies for people to take away if they find something they really, really like. We have a lot of artifacts in this place. My idea with the library part of the building is that it's a combination of a museum and a library. So we have artwork from local artists like Russell Briscoe and Jim Gray, and we have a really good map collection of sandroom maps. Those are used a lot in both history and family history research. The original ones that we have are in this big cabinet here. They're quite heavy, but they give you a chance to look back to see where your family members are actually living in the city and what the city looked like back in 1885 or 1900 or 1910. We have a lot of databases that we provide for people to use for research, and we have computers for people to use. Because of the pandemic, we've had to thin down the number of computers that we have available, but our collection used to be very limited to just regional history, and now with all the databases we have the ability to do research pretty much all over the world if you can navigate the languages in the databases. Earlier times we had to rely on newspaper clippings for access to newspapers, and these are the old newspaper clippings. We still have them, but the library was able to partner with UT and some folks to digitize the Knoxville News Sentinel from 1922 to 1990. So that's opened up a whole new window of ability to do research on all kinds of history, including family history. Kind of wrap around this U shape with a light well in the center of the building, and they stack around. These are open stacks. People can come and look at books on Kentucky, North Carolina, Virginia, whichever state you're interested in. We have a lot of microfilm, which includes things like military records from the Revolution, Civil War, and Tennessee delayed birth records, Tennessee Valley Authority grave removals, and family removal records. So, and those can be really useful for that. Some of that's available online, but we do have it here in a more original format. Let's put it that way. Have the Confederate pensions from the state of Tennessee. Lots and lots of variety of material on microfilm that's focused on the state and national level. This is our microfilm research area. We have a lot of basic records on microfilm, which are also online, so those are not used so much. But one thing we do have is county records on microfilm for all East Tennessee counties except Knox and Hamilton, because they have such huge amounts of microfilm. But the other counties, we've got all the basic, deeds, wills, marriages, kinds of records, court records for those counties. Very helpful to do research. And we do have quite a bit of microfilm on Cherokee records, because so many people are interested in trying to prove a blood connection to the Cherokee Nation. And a lot of material on African American history that's been coming out in microfilm. It's being digitized now more and more, but we do have Freedmen's Bank and all those basic kinds of records. And a lot of newspapers from around East Tennessee, especially Knoxville. And all of that's fair game for doing family history. Courtroom from the old Custom House. It was a federal court from 1874 to 1933. Lots of interesting cases here. Most of them, from what I've been told, revolve around something to do with illegal alcohol in East Tennessee. Probably the majority of the cases. But anyway, it's a beautiful room. It's historic. And it's our main reading room. And all of the Tennessee materials, book materials, are here, shelved alphabetically by county or alphabetically by city. So we have a really big basic book collection for Tennessee. And this is kind of the hub of people doing research in Tennessee history and genealogy. This would be a good place to start. People who work at this desk, or reference 3 desk, basically also take care of the family files, which are right here. We have genealogical collections from many very good East Tennessee family historians, and we also have the first families of Tennessee files back here. So this is a treasure trove of stuff, and if people come and ask, what do you have that I can't find anywhere else, most of it is going to be in these files, in these boxes. The first families has been very successful. It's up to about something like 17,000 applicants now. And those are the records right there. They're filed by number, and we can pull them for people to take a look at. The whole idea of that particular collection was to try to get people who can prove their family was here in Tennessee by 1796 to build an application and hopefully share family records with us, and Bible records and other kinds of things. And it was a very successful bicentennial project for the East Tennessee Historical Society, and it's used quite a lot, but it's not online yet. We have obituaries that we clipped from the beginning years of the collection up to 1990, and those are in filing cabinets here in envelopes by family name. But we had the rate of growth of that file was so huge that we went to an index in 1991. So we have paper copies up to about 1990, an index from 1991 to date. Typical year there would be maybe 5,000 to 7,000 obituaries in the local paper. And unfortunately, those are not as common as they used to be, but we're still trying to keep up with that as a basic record. One of the crises we're going to face in research is that newspapers are going away, the city directories are going away. These are really basic tools that we've relied on always. So we're going to have to figure out how to save and preserve all that stuff that's out there in digital form floating around. That's going to be a big challenge.
One thing that not everybody has is Robert McGinnis's The Cemeteries Index.
Yeah, it's an incomplete index, but we do have card file index that Robert McGinnis did in his research on Knox County cemeteries. It's a quick and easy way to try to find out where somebody's buried. But we have all of his books. He's been very generous to share them with us. And he has identified more than 600 cemeteries in Knox County and transcribed them. So it's pretty amazing. We have a whole shelf full of his books.
Yeah, because that's by the person's name.
He did. Has done. Still done. You know, and he documented every cemetery, even ones that he found out had been destroyed. So, you know, he pretty much has covered the waterfront on cemeteries in Knox County. And that's huge, because those records are, about 30 years ago, there were very few cemetery books available for any of the counties. And most of this has been a volunteer effort by different historical societies to do that. I helped do the one on Sevier County. And so it's a resource we have now that was almost not available until all these volunteer people did all these things, and they're very helpful.